Thank you for that. I think it's fair to realize in the past year or so that life has changed, and we're highly unlikely to go back to exactly what it used to be. We've all been pushed into the future perhaps a little bit quicker than we anticipated. One of the things that really has been learned over this period is that with the right technology, all sorts of things can happen. And there's different factors that come into play here. There's obviously the convenience factor. So if one looks at the educational sector, so long as you've got access to a device, we've got access to the internet, we can use this technology in a very convenient and effective fashion. Of course, we have to always remember that there is really what we classify as the third curriculum, which is that human engagement side of it and the things that you learn in the corridors at school that simply are not there. So there's always a downside. But I think the upside is that we can get to more people. We can go at this huge geographic footprint. Schools, for example, are not just bricks and mortar now. They can be anywhere, anytime. And in essence, it's not going to be a problem to go to a school that's not even in this country anymore. So there's a huge degree of flexibility that suddenly opened up to us, and that's made a huge difference. And we have to kind of thank COVID for it, if there is such a thing. But it's pushed us into the future. I think proper technology, we really need to define that. Proper technology can mean any number of things. So the first thing, that if we're going to be serious about this in the future, we need to all have access to really very affordable data. So certainly in South Africa and Africa as a whole, data costs have got to come down. But we see companies like Google, Facebook, Elon Musk, really they're starting to invest heavily in infrastructure around data, with balloons and all sorts of different methods of getting data out there, getting the internet to people who don't have it. So the first thing, data has got to be a lot cheaper. It's got to be a lot faster. So it needs to be accessible to everybody. And with those new sort of infrastructural developments, it might not be basically, fiber cables. It might be beamed down via a satellite. So those sorts of things are very important. Once we've got good data, we're now going to look at good devices. And just about everybody now has got some sort of smartphone in their pockets. The cost of those smartphones has reduced drastically over the past 5 or 6 years, and they are becoming more and more affordable. Once we've got the correct data, the correct devices, we now need to make sure that we've got the correct software. And software comes in very many different shapes and forms. And it's so diverse that often what we see is that everybody gets confused. The facilitators or the teachers are confused about what they should and shouldn't be using. The students are also confused about how things work. So really, again, leaps and bounds in the last year. The teaching profession has really stepped up to the plate and learned all of these different tools. But a way to kind of rationalize it, put it into a system where different tools can work, will also mean that we can keep that student-teacher engagement going and everybody understands what they need to be doing. So what I think should happen is we should be looking at the overall IT architectural framework, using different tools, but all put into a framework. And therefore, everybody knows where they are, what their tools are, and it can all be monitored and managed within that basic IT architectural framework. So what is really interesting about the Cirrus technology is the fact that it's a high-stakes assessment um, software. Now, what's happening at the moment is we're getting these online mechanisms of delivering learning, but how do people take exam? Quite a lot of the time, they've still got to come into the exam center, which means facilitating an actual event, so to speak. With the Cirrus software, we can now pretty well manage that process on a laptop. And that software is going to take an image of somebody writing that exam and compare it to a database every couple of seconds, or use their device to listen in if there's any whispering going on, or if there's any strange movement going on, or people are trying to log into another tab to cheat, or if your eyes look down and away from the screen too often because there's a little device there where things might be being looked at. So that sort of technology is highly advanced, and it means that we can have the sort of security that we want to have and maintain exam integrity. And that, I think, is very important. But it does also mean that we do away with these classroom-based exam events and have confidence in the fact that the assessments that are being taken are being done properly and they are secure. Yes, indeed. New Leaf Technologies has a very strong footprint within South Africa, but we deal a lot in Africa and the Middle East as well. And our mandate with a partnership with Cirrus extends to those countries. So anywhere in Africa, anywhere in the Middle East, we're definitely going to be putting the software out there to both universities, tertiary education facilities, and indeed schools.